Hello and welcome to my latest vlog from Madison's. Well, Rightmove came out this week with a really interesting article, caught my eye because it said Britain's most popular spa towns. And of course I sit here in Royal Tunbridge Wells, a wonderful spa town with the Chalybeate Spring just literally a few steps down from my shop. So I clicked on the link and was excited to see where we'd come. It wasn't ranked in any particular order actually. It was just saying what spa towns have proven really popular during the pandemic. And Tunbridge Wells was on there, the penultimate listing. I was starting to get a bit worried. But they cited the fact that our town has always been popular with Londoners who have certainly wanted a quieter way of life whilst remaining in close proximity to the capital for both work and pleasure. Our excellent grammar schools that we have, they're always a real draw, and we see that as well with the primary schools that look to feed those grammar schools. And the beautiful architecture we have there. They particularly cite the wonderful Georgian colonnade, which is of course the Pantiles, and which has changed its guise over the years. When I first moved to Tunbridge Wells about 20 years ago, it wasn't the most desirable of places. It had a random little selection of shops, but now, my gosh, has it raised its game. It is gorgeous. We've got wonderful restaurants, cafes, independent boutique retailers, and of course my shop here. So I think Tunbridge Wells is a great town. I thought you might be interested to hear some key stats of what we've achieved recently. So the highest sale in the last 12 months was for 3.1 million for a house and just over $1 million for a flat. We've had 1,160 sales, which was actually a 29% dip over the previous 12 months. Probably as a result of that lockdown making a change there. 22% of those sales were flats for an average price just over 269,000. And for houses, the average price is 522,000. But in all, a total value of sales of £588 million worth of sales over the last 12 months in Tunbridge Wells. And I think what was also interesting was to read on an article on another interesting news website that I get about property, which talks about how so many people are stuck in their current house, which they know is no longer suitable for their needs, but just feel they haven't got the budget or can't find the right property to make a move worthwhile. And I see that all the time here in Tunbridge Wells. If I could show a crystal ball to my potential sellers and say, look, go on the market, your dream house is out there, I promise you it will come to market just as you go under offer, then we'd have the stock shortage that we have. I have so many sellers desperate to go to market but simply don't feel that they will find their onward, and it's making them a reluctant seller. So to become a motivated seller, you often have to become a motivated buyer first. And of course, that's all a little bit difficult at the moment with not being able to see properties for most agents unless you are in a proceedable position. There were some really interesting other stats out about those in that report about people who are stuck in their home. 40% cited that they feel the need for more space, and 25% said their house was simply in the wrong area for them, an area they didn't want to be living in a different part of the country. And it estimated that we stay in our properties for an extra 4 years beyond when we feel they are not suitable for us anymore. And that's probably as well because, of course, moving house is so expensive. It estimated you have to have an extra £125,000 to throw into the budget to be able to get what you want, be that off-road parking, the extra bedroom, a bigger garden. And that's therefore causing people to stick where they are for longer than they probably should. But if you're thinking you'd like me to come out and give you a first idea on what your property is worth, I often get asked, how do you value a property? Well, it's a sum of many parts. Tunbridge Wells talks frequently about a price per square foot that you can achieve for a property, which is simply how much accommodation space am I getting on a square foot basis for the price that's being asked. Buyers might not realise they work on price per square foot, but trust me, they do. If we get feedback from a viewing when we're selling a property which says the bedrooms feel a bit small, I wish there was an extra reception room, the sitting room feels a bit pinched, then what they're telling us is that actually they're not feeling they're getting as much house for their money as others that they have seen, and they are doing a kind of covert, without realising it, price per square foot calculation. The price per square foot can be varied by various factors. It's not a kind of one size fits all. Where you live, the particular area that you live in can really affect that. So Claremont catchment area recently I've seen go well above £550 per square foot because people are desperate to get into what is a very, very great primary school. The quality of your presentation, have you got a nice garden, does it face south, have you got off-road parking? All of these factors can skew the price per square foot that you can get. They can raise it or they can slightly dampen it if any of those factors is seen to be a bit weak. So it's a fascinating way, it's a good sort of ready reckoner way as an agent to look at the size of the property. We know roughly price per square foot for each area that we're working on. We then tweak it based on those factors that I mentioned, and it gives you a broad starting point. Of course, then you need to compare with other things in the market, what's sold that's similar in the area, what's sold on that street recently, and be aware that can skew a valuation. You never know the circumstances of someone's sale. They might have been in a desperate rush to find a buyer and might have sold really at quite a competitive price, or they might have had no motivation to move until they got a really top price and their property could have stuck for a while as they hang out for a really big price. So always be careful of looking at what else is sold, but it gives you a good gauge. And you put all that into a melting pot and get a sort of gut feel of, does that feel like a good price for that property? It's not an exact science, but it certainly gives you a starting point. If anybody ever wants to talk about that in more detail, please do give me a call. But one property that I did recently value and have just taken to market is lovely Colburn Cottage in the heart of Southborough, but tucked in the most wonderful of locations. It's down a private drive, really secluded, lovely woodland outlook, glorious gardens. And so the location of this, in terms of its rural sense and feel, whilst being so close to the heart of Southborough, is what makes this house very special. The house inside is pretty good as well, beautifully presented, extended by the current owners, and really lovely accommodation. If you'd like more details, give us a call. Well, I hope you have a great week. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.